Mexico. When the Mafia rules. What comes to mind when you think about the world's top tourist destinations? Is it the romance under the Eiffel Tower in Paris, a poetic and dreamy Germany, or the bustling tourist streets of Thailand? These destinations, with their unique beauty and charm, always have an irresistible pull. However, perhaps few know that somewhere on the world map, there is a region that is also rising strongly on the tourist map, but it contains complex and surprising stories. That place is Mexico. From ancient times, Mexico has been the cradle of two magnificent ancient civilizations, the Maya and the Aztecs. Mexican culture is imbued with unique characteristics, captivating and full of mystery. However, anyone who has ever set foot in the land of flamenco, dances and bullfights will be surprised to see that this country has many similarities with Spain. This is understandable, as Spain deeply influenced Mexico during its colonial period. Thanks to this cultural exchange, Mexico has become as diverse and rich as it is today. Mexico is also beautiful, with its stunning long beaches, lush tropical forests, and ancient cities. But as we often say, every rose has its thorns, and behind the cowboys with their wide-brimmed hats that have become an icon, or the mariachi dancers in their brightly colored swirling skirts, Mexico is so much more than that. Countless gangs and crimes, the flaws that are hidden behind that charming facade. So, what are we waiting for? Let's explore it right now. 1. Mexican Mafia, the bloodthirsty ones of the planet. The first scary thing that anyone who mentions Mexico has to shudder about is the Mafia. If considering the level of brutality, the Mexican Mafia seems to have no equal. They are willing to attack anyone who gets in their way, using the most savage methods. The Mexican Mafia has instilled a sense of horror in the people at home and throughout the world, with their acts of violence happening continuously, sometimes daily. The Mexican Mafia, also known as La M.A., is a notorious prison gang in California, USA. You guys know? From behind bars, they not only control illegal activities inside the prison, but also reach their tentacles into the outside world. Even, the power of the Mexican Mafia is so great that people have compared them to an illegitimate government. The gang was established in the 1950s by Luis Flores and 13 other inmates at a vocational training center in California. However, the Mexican Mafia only really rose in prominence when the President of Mexico launched a nationwide campaign against crime. It sounds a bit ironic, right? A gang from the USA becoming a horror in Mexico. Crime and violence. Initially, their goal was simply to allay self-defense, but after 6 decades of operation, the Mexican Mafia has become corrupt and has caused countless crimes such as robbery and extortion, and they are willing to eliminate anyone who dares oppose them. Their strength has been increasing, and brutality has become their trademark. These gangs do not hesitate to use tanks, armored vehicles, heavy weapons, and even drones to wage war on the police and rival gangs. Hearing this, you can see that it's just like some horrific Hollywood movie, right? In most other countries in the world, the police have to hunt down criminals. But in Mexico, the Mafia will actively seek out the police to harass and challenge them. A perfect example is at the start of 2022, a car carrying 10 bodies was parked right under the Christmas tree beside the governor's palace in the city of Zacatecas, like a clear threat from the Mafia. It's too much like they're trying to warn the government. According to statistics, there are at least 150 organized criminal groups active in Mexico. Most of the new groups are allied with or are supported by the 2 largest gangs, Sinaloa and Jalisco New Generation, CJNG. Sinaloa is an old and infamous gang, while the CJNG of El Mencho has become the most brutal and violent gang in Mexico in just 10 years, known for the savage videos they spread online. Somewhere, they even have the nickname of the Bringers of Horror. At the end of 2009, the police arrested a man with the nickname the Stew Maker, a henchman of El Mencho. he admitted to using acid to dissolve the bodies of victims. The US even offered a $10 million USD reward for information leading to the arrest of El Mencho. It's truly ghastly to think of the things that they could do. The purges happen so often that the people of Mexico have become jaded and indifferent. They can see these terrifying scenes every day. The authorities in Mexico also continuously find mass graves with bodies that are no longer intact. So, the question is, when will this situation finally end? When will the innocent people of Mexico be able to live in peace? When we learn of the true state of affairs, this is not only the question of the people of Mexico, but also the question of all of us. The conflicts between the gangs have caused terrible consequences, making many towns and cities desolate. According to the statistics from the Interior Ministry of Mexico, there are an average of 112 acts of violence every day. Since December of 2018, more than 60,000 people have disappeared. However, only 8,200 of them were found in mass graves. And sadly, the majority of those cases were not recognized due to the authorities not being able to identify the victims. Hearing this, you cannot help but feel sorrowful for the fates of the innocent people who had their lives and identities taken away from them. 2. The crimes behind the avocados and the bleeding forests. To maintain their existence, the gang leaders had to find ways to expand their businesses to regain an advantage. Thus, the Mexican Mafia has given more attention to the agricultural and forestry business fields. Specifically, agriculture will focus on the avocado market, while forestry, which is easy to guess, will be about wood or farming land. Avocado, green gold of Mexico. You guys know, if the oil of Saudi Arabia is seen as black gold, then for Mexico, avocados are no different from green gold. Avocados are an expensive side dish for foodies, popular in every supermarket these days, with the average American eating 3.5 kilograms of avocados each year. Avocado capital, Michoacán. The state of Michoacán, with its abundant rainfall, sunshine, and fertile volcanic soil, is an extremely ideal geographical location for the avocado industry to develop. More than 40% of the total avocado production in Mexico is produced here. This makes Mexico the #1 exporter of avocados in the world, and it's also one of the main products that Mexico sends to its neighbor to the north, second only to beer. But sadly, the farmers of Mexico, who were still rejoicing at the chance of changing their lives thanks to the avocados, immediately had to suffer under the shadow of the mafia. The gangs are seizing farms, destroying forests to plant the fruit that locals call green gold. These gangs kidnap, threaten, and force the farmers to sell their land at ridiculously low prices. The poor farmers have become the victims of a war that is not theirs. The mafia also forces the farmers to take out high-interest loans and then seize their land when they can't repay them. They even resort to trickery to force people to sign land transfer documents. They do everything to plunder the blood, sweat, and tears of these farmers. In Uruapan, known as the avocado capital, people have a higher chance of being killed than being hit by a car. The gangs are fighting to control the supply, causing bloody battles. It's a scary reality to know that there are places where a person can be killed so easily. One director of an avocado export company said that in 2020, 19 people were targeted by the mafia as a warning to those who would stand up to them. Just hearing that is horrifying. Aside from avocados, the Mexican Mafia is also attacking the forestry industry. Old-growth natural forests have become the target of the gangs. The state of Chihuahua has more than 25,000 hectares of forest, mostly pine, which is where the gangs are fighting to control illegal logging. They destroy nature without a second thought, just for profit. This leads to a series of terrible consequences, such as the destruction of the forest, people losing their livelihoods, dealing with natural disasters, and being forced to grow opium or work in illicit processing plants. Illegal lumber sawmills are mushrooming everywhere, and illegally harvested wood is then sold to big cities. And again, nature is bearing the brunt of all the bad things that humans cause. 3. The powerlessness of the government and the people. Fighting back, the Mexican Mafia gangs are expanding their operations in cunning ways. They are looking for places that the government can't control. The government of Mexico seems powerless to protect the safety of its people. One part of the reason is because they don't have the funds, and the other part is because the local authorities lack the skills and are corrupt and bureaucratic. This corruption and powerlessness of the government has led people to a situation where they don't have anywhere to depend on. The people also don't receive any kind of help from the government or the banks. It's truly sad to see that these poor people are abandoned so heartlessly. The worm wriggles, but so does the person who stepped on it. When the pain has reached a point where they can't stand it anymore, everyone will stand up to reclaim what they've lost, to keep their lives and their belongings, or at the very least, escape poverty. The people of Michoacan are no different. They can no longer tolerate any kind of oppression, and they've been forced to pick up arms and fight against the mafia gangs. The people have set up their militias, stationing guards at all village entrances. The first militia group was established in Tanasitaro village. No one could tolerate their families toiling in the fields, only to see thugs come in a heartbeat to steal everything they have, leaving them empty-handed. So, the people have armed themselves with armor, bulletproof cars, and automatic rifles, just like a professional police force, and this has proven effective. These civilian militias have been successful at protecting the local area, so the mafia gangs are avoiding Tanasitaro, and the crime rate has been significantly reduced. Despite the laws in Mexico, which ban civilians from possessing military-grade weapons, the federal government demands these self-defense groups to put down their arms. But the civilian militias in Tanasitaro refuse to back down, saying that they will stop when the state and federal governments can guarantee security in their town. Conclusion. And with that, we've analyzed the dark side of Mexico, from the bloody violence of the mafia to the brutal fight over resources. The profits that the mafia are making from avocado farming and logging are so high that these gangs are even reducing their drug trafficking activities to stay safe. This is a serious issue that requires the Mexican government to take concrete and effective action to end the violence and protect the lives and rights of its people. Will Mexico be able to escape from the shadows of the mafia? That's the question that we are all waiting for the answer to. But we can believe that the people of Mexico are still fighting hard for a better future. This war is certainly hard and full of thorns, but their will and resilience will definitely shine through and bring a new hope to this country.